Welcome, it's me, OG Duffy, back with this week's video. Something a bit different for you this week. The shirt might give it away. Bit of a Halloweeny event for you on this one. So no versus video this week, but instead we're going to take a look at some truly horrifyingly bad video games throughout the years. Not all bad, mind you, but all horror-based themed. So without further ado, let's get to it. So as I said, something a bit different. We're going to be looking at some classic horror games through the generations of video games. We're starting at the oldest, bringing it right through to modern. Now I'm only going to select 10 titles. Some of them are shockingly bad. Some of them are truly horrific. And some of them are actually really good. But as always, folks, I'm sure you will let me know in the comments your thoughts about these titles. Now, those of a certain age, like myself, will remember we had videotapes back in the day. We had Betamax, we had VHS, and you could go and hire the video machines from places like Rumbelows and Radio Rentals and places like that. I'm really showing my age now. Of course, with this then come the video nasties, and you could go and hire whichever films you pretty much wanted. I mean, there was classification, of course there was, but hey, people wanted to earn a few quid. They'd loan you the tape anyway, no matter how old you were. Or did I just live in a dodgy area? Anyway, I remember some classic films from my youth. The Evil Dead, Exorcist, blimey, The Entity, Poltergeist, which to this day, I've rewatched it. Why I found it so scary back then is beyond me, because it's actually pretty bad. It's still a good film. But anyway, we had some great films back then. We're going to have a look at some of these spin-offs from some of these films and some standalone horror games on their own ilk. So without further ado, we're going to kick things off with the old Atari VCS, the 2600 system. And it is this, Haunted House.
First game we're showing here today from 1982 on the Atari VCS or the Woody or the 2600, whichever you remember it as. As you can see here, this is Haunted House. You played a set of eyes running around a haunted mansion, avoiding ghosts and ghouls. I think there was 3 different sort of enemies that could get you in this. And the idea is you're going round to find 3 pieces of an urn and escaping the haunted mansion. And there's one of the ghosts, as before mentioned. Now, why I included this game, alright, bear in mind it was 1982, so home video games were not that great at the time, but the reason I've included this is because many believe that this is one of the very first examples of the survival horror genre of game. So, as basic as it is, bear in mind the year 82, so that's why I've included it. So, by Atari, Haunted House to kick things off. Next up, on the ZX Spectrum is The Evil Dead. Now, as you can see, a very basic game. And to be fair, this was never actually released independently on its own as a single title on the ZX Spectrum, but was on the B side of Cauldron, another game by Palace Software. Now, strangely, Palace Software were a subsidiary of Palace Movies or film company, I believe. So this was their sort of first soiree into video games. Following the success of the film title, they thought they'd have some similar success with the game. Unfortunately, as you can see, it was basic. It was pretty shocking in its own right, really, and a very poor game all in all. But this was released on the Commodore 64, and it had its own release on the C64, so maybe that was the better version. I've never played it, but anyway, so that concludes. Shame, not as good as the film. I loved the film, but nah, this was pretty poor. In terms of gameplay, you would go around the cabin and you had to sort of nail up the windows, get various weapons and defeat monsters. When you defeated all the evil dead, then you find the Book of the Dead and destroy that to end the game. In a nutshell, you're not missing much with this one. We move forward 1 year now and look at a Commodore 64 title of Friday the 13th. This was released in '85 by Domark Software. As you can see, in a nutshell, this is Camp Lake, Crystal Lake or something. To be absolutely honest with you, all right, I've never really watched any Friday the 13th films. I've seen clips. I've never watched one from start to finish. So I'm probably not the best person to talk about the Friday the 13th franchise. But hey, I can talk about the computer game, and this is it. This version looked a lot better than the Spectrum versions. That's why I've included this one. I think you're in this sort of camp place. You'd be walking about, and there's all different places you could go, and like a church and a cabin and things like that. And every sort of area had its own sort of theme tune, if you like, on the Commodore version. So, in a nutshell, this is an absolutely shocker of a game. You're not missing much. You've got to go around, check you don't get killed, check your friends don't get killed, and work out which one of them's Jason or some such nonsense. And to be honest, it was pretty dire. Oh dear, not the best game in the world, and one that deserves the title of shocker for all the wrong reasons. We now shift our attention to the arcade, and we're looking at 1986's Chiller. Now, very odd game, this one. It was like a light gun game. Now, this was not taken up by many arcade operators in the day. They didn't like it. It was basically, in it, you're a torturer, okay, and you've got to aim your sights and shoot at various parts, as you can see, and you're basically torturing people. You've got to maim, mutilate, and murder the restrained people in the various dungeon settings. Obviously, it was a bit, dodgy at the time, and the various torture devices and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, as I said earlier, not many arcade operators chose to carry this game, shall we say. It was later released, apparently, on the Nintendo NES, which was an unlicensed port, I'm led to believe. I haven't seen it, I haven't played it, but I thought it was an interesting title to include. Did you guys ever play this at the arcade? Personally, one that's passed me by, but I don't think I'm missing much. Although I suppose it's fun for 10p, I don't know. Let me know. Sticking with the arcade, we move forward to 1988 and Splatterhouse. Now, this game doesn't need much introduction to those that play retro games, and I'm sure it's a title you're all aware of. Side-scrolling, sort of a beat-em-up as you go. The synopsis to this, I believe, is you've been resurrected and you've got to go and sort of save your girlfriend or some nonsense like that. But this was actually a really good game, so this wasn't one of the shockers we're looking at today, but one of the better ones. A great fun title, one that's very collectible still. It retains a good value, and there were several spin-offs to this as well. So all in all, a very, very good game, released by Namco, and one I can highly recommend. It was great fun on the arcade, and the home ports are equally as good. So well worth checking out, and slightly less of a shocker, this one. Moving ahead now to 1992, released on the Sega CD. This is Night Trap, a true shocker in the experience. Basically, this was B-movie heaven. My friend Alan would love this. Anyway, that's for another day. Basically, in this, you sort of have to look at surveillance tapes of a teenager's apparently sleepover. She doesn't look much like a teenager to me, but this was knocked massively because of its very poor acting. Was B-movie-tastic, as you can see, and just very poorly developed, I believe. But all in all, made me giggle, I have to say. This one did give me a laugh, so respect to the guys at Night Trap for producing such awesome took, really. But hey, might be a good one. Just check out this acting right there. Look at that. Amazing. What a way to go, eh? Strangled, or drilled in the neck by alien type people dressed in bin bags, from what I can make out. Anyway, great bit of acting. She never got the Oscar. Quite why, I do not know, but an amazing end to what a great game. Yes, truly shocking for all the wrong reasons. And skipping forward to 1999, this game needs no introduction. Silent Hill on the PlayStation by Konami. What a game this was. This is such a well-respected title and still very collectible to this day. So Konami did a great job on this one with the survival horror element, and one, as I say, that is very well respected. Creepy in all the right places, does everything right as a good game should. So, although the first half of this video we had a few shockers, shall we say, for the wrong reasons, we're now seeing some good shockers of the horror title genre for all the right reasons. Now, released in 1999, as I said, big hit. What's not to love about this one? Had a lot of spin-offs, a great game, sold over 12 million copies. That alone tells you the quality of this title. Well done, Konami. Great effort. Now, not to cause too much debate, but this is Resident Evil 4. Now, many consider this the best in the franchise. Let me know your thoughts. Is this the best Resident Evil in the franchise? As you know, it was absolutely hugely popular, and you know, I of course had to include a Resident Evil game. Again, not a shocker for the wrong reasons. An absolute brilliant game franchise, and one that is so popular even today. Now, this was a massive hit back in the day. Sold an awful lot of copies. I mean, we're talking about, I do believe it was about 11 million. It was mentioned at one point. So a great sales. Now, this also, through the Guinness World Book of Records, the Gamers Edition, no doubt, this was given the best-selling survival horror game, and that was from the 2012 Guinness World Records Gamers Edition. Whether it still holds that title or not, I don't really know. I've got this on my shelf for several systems. It was originally produced, I believe, for GameCube, and then the other versions followed. I have yet to play it. I know, that's shocking in its own right, but I will get round to it. Honest gov. Now, unlike Resident Evil 4, which we just saw, this is Alien Isolation. Obviously, Aliens, we all know that film franchise. And this was released in 2014, so we're making our way through the ages. Now, I did play this one. I had it on PC, and I have to say it was a brilliant game. Very atmospheric. It built tension brilliantly. It was just one of them games. It was really, really well done. And if you played it in the dark, it just added to the whole atmospheric and everything else. So, for this reason, I'm putting this in here. And again, a better half of games this half, you know, not so many shockers this time, but such a great game. If you haven't played it, do so. Trust me, it's a good one. And bringing things right up to date. Obviously, horror themed, tension, jump scares, all that sort of good Halloweeny, frighteningly good stuff. What better way than VR? VR headset with this game, Phasmophobia, I believed. Try saying that after a few pints. Basically, you're an investigator. You can use sort of the spirit investigation equipment that you have, and you can team up on this one, I believe. And of course, with the VR support, is quite a thing. So you go in, you start to investigate spookiness in people's houses and that sort of stuff with varying levels. And of course, the lights are out because hey, it's a horror title. And you can imagine the tension involved in this is pretty good fun. It was very popular, and especially with Twitch streamers, it's one of them that gets streamed live an awful lot, especially Halloween season. And people thoroughly enjoy watching people getting scared the bejesus out of them and leaping about and swearing and doing all sorts. But if you want a real good horror romp, then what better way than VR? It's the only way. Released in 2020 originally and still being developed today, and with updates and everything else. This is the Phasmophobia video game. I could have gone Resident Evil Village, but hey, you know, I thought I'm going to end it with a bit of VR, because I don't think you can go wrong with horror titles and VR. But again, let me know in the comments, guys, what have I missed that you really like in terms of horror titles and everything else. Hit the like button, let me know in the comments, and subscribe to all that good things that you always do for me, folks. And as I say, this was a tough 10 to put together, because throughout the years there's been so many great horror titles, so I wanted to mix it up a little bit. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Let's conclude, shall we?
That concludes this special for you guys. So apologies if you've tuned in expecting a Versus video, but something a bit different for you. Now, I hope this has been a good trip down memory lane for you guys. As always, let me have your comments. And if you haven't already done so, please do hit that subscribe button. And as always, hit the like for me as well. Say a bit different. Let's have some more likes on the videos. Anyway, I digress. So, great memories, I'm sure. As I said, some truly shocking games, but some truly excellent ones too. Alright, obviously I couldn't cover every single horror title, so I only selected 10 throughout the years. But anyway, here's to you guys. Happy Halloween. Have a good one. I know I will. Cheers. If you watched the video and you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe for more great videos. Thanks for watching.